to the Money Making Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Nancy.
And I'm Kelsey, and thanks so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, are you so excited? It's our first podcast.
It is.
It's been a journey, just, having a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's very popular right now, but so let's talk about why we did this, because it's not like we didn't have anything else to do, right? Being moms.
Yeah. Well, you started off.
Well, I'm excited because I think it just gives us another channel, another voice to get the message out to women about empowerment, about building confidence. Yes, I'm a real estate investor, but I also am very passionate about women just, kind of coming into their own. How about you? What are some goals that or some things that you were happy to do the podcast about?
I think for me, I'm excited to talk to other moms, and specifically other moms that are entrepreneurs, and just hear their journeys, and their funny stories as moms, and because I know we all have them and their struggles, but then also too how they have been successful in their mom life, but also bringing something else to their family besides just being a mom, because I feel like that's a very big thing today. Is yes, it's such a crown of authority to be a mom, but I think a lot of women out there want their own thing too, whether that's real estate investing, a hairstylist, or embroidery artist, whatever it is, financial planner, whatever it is. So I think I'm just excited to talk to all the moms out there.
Well, and I think too, being an older mom is, how to find the balance between your family, work life, family life, and then also taking care of yourself. Because I think as moms, we even feel guilty if we want to go for a spa day, or we want to go get a manicure, or maybe we feel like we can't spend the money on ourselves.
Yes.
So I think, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're very conscientious of, oh my gosh, I have to get the kids down, and then, just how do you balance all that? Especially if, whether you're a single mom or a married mom, or, in a relationship, because the other part of that is your partner. How are they going to be supportive?
Yeah. I think also too, a lot of, it's not a normal, not I think there's, so typical stay-at-home mom, there's a joke, and I know I joke with Zach about it. My husband, for those who are listening, and those are new to knowing us, but your moms wake up typical maybe an hour before their kids, or some might just get, I know I've definitely had days where I check the monitor, I'm oh, my kid's up. But they start at whatever time that kid gets up is 6:30, 5 a.m., 7, whatever it is, all the way until they go to bed 7 days a week. And that's not a normal, I know my toddler went to bed 7, he was awake 7 to 7. So okay, 12 hours, but that's longer than any normal shift. And then when you add in the entrepreneur part of it, no longer is it, okay, 8 o'clock, I get to watch my own shows. It's no, you have to grind, and even being a mom all day, now I have to do some content for social media, or I have to do some order fulfillments, or whatever it is. And so I'm just, I think with this podcast, I'm excited for just bringing all the moms together, and we all have the same thing, and it's nice to hear relatable stories.
I agree. And I think one of my goals is that we're going to try and do this weekly, right?
Yes.
You're a busier mom than I am. I'm a mom too. My child is grown now. And then we're going to talk about Money Making Mamas and why we even came up with that name. So,
so first, why don't we just tell a little bit of our background? So you'll start, because you're the mama nana. So go ahead.
I've been investing in real estate since 2006. But before that, little do people know that I have a very broad range of management experience, and I have traveled extensively in the U.S., in Canada, and I even did a stint in England as a blood bank management consultant. That's a lot to say. So what did I really do? Well, I helped blood banks become more efficient. And so I managed, I wrote job descriptions, I trained management, and I learned a lot during those years I was doing that. So when we my journey as a real estate investor kind of came about because we lived in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. We're in Dallas, the Dallas metro now, and just no, I didn't even know anything about real estate investing, and the market was crazy in Phoenix back in 2005, I guess it was. So long ago, makes me feel old. It's gonna be
20 years.
20 years. Okay, so now I can really say I've been investing in real estate for
So
20 years.
in context for people that are listening, our first episode, we're filming this, what is it, December 27th?
Of 2024, but
Yeah,
we're going to release it in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, keep going. So
anyway,
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Wow. That's
It's official.
It's official. 20 years of being a real estate investor. Anyway, the market was crazy, and we had been living in our current residence for about 7 years, and we were looking around, and we found that we couldn't afford what we already had. We had a 4-bedroom, 2.5-story home in Gilbert, Arizona, which was one of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. at that time. Anyway, the real estate market was going crazy. We were seeing houses flip for 2 and 3 times what we bought our property for. And you know what? We were just greedy. I just looked at my husband, Brian, and I said, you know what? We can get jobs anywhere. And we literally quit our jobs, yanked our daughter, Kelsey, out of school, and sold our house and moved to Frisco, Texas in 3 weeks. It was a whirlwind. And when people ask me, oh, you were a real estate investor? No, I was just like, okay, we're at this certain age in our life. When can we make this much money tax-free? So it was just really taking advantage of the opportunity. And then as I've learned about real estate investing over the last 20 years, it really is just taking advantage of the market, because the market always changes. So it's always changing. So,
It's
but
so
anyway,
funny. My side is definitely different.
So Kelsey, back in, we won't talk about ages, but yes, that was kind of a tumultuous time for you, ripping you away from you were 12 at the time.
Okay, let me just, for context.
Yes.
So Arizona, I love telling this story. But Arizona does kindergarten through 6th grade. Texas does kindergarten through 5th grade, and then 6th to 12th. So I was going into 6th, but all my friends in Arizona were in elementary school. And then I was going into a middle school. We arrived on Friday before the Monday school was supposed to start. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday was the first day of school. I, to this day, remember the traumatic experiences I had that first day of middle school, because everyone else had, like, the orientation, how their lockers worked, that they needed money in their lunch account, things like that. So, definitely different experiences.
It was,
but we're here now.
But we're here. But what did, seeing, looking back now over the last 20 years, because that's really when my entrepreneurial journey began, when we made that kind of leap of faith decision. So yes, it was traumatic for you, but can you, fast forward now 20 years, was it a good move?
Well, yeah, I mean, because if not, then I wouldn't have the life that I have right now, or, maybe, I don't know, depending on the way you look at things, maybe they're going to work out the same way. But, I mean, yeah, it definitely would have been different experiences for sure. And, it's hot in Arizona, so as an adult, I'm glad I'm not there, but it's also hot in Texas too. But yeah, I mean, it was a good move, and it's just funny telling the stories, because as a parent, like, it was clearly a good move for your family. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? But as a child, it's like, well, why are you ripping me away from my friends?
Exactly.
But then, if I were to if I were to look at today and having my own kids and be like, well, because I think at the time, Gilbert, yeah, like you said, was the fastest growing city, and where we moved, it was still 3A school, so there's way more opportunities. I wasn't the most athletic person, so it would have been more competitive to get into, like, volleyball and basketball in Arizona than moving here. And now we're in, like, the fastest growing city, but still, it just shows making the right move. But yeah, I think if it was a good opportunity for my kids, then, I understand, I get it.
And sometimes we have to make the choices that, in life seem at the time, and people thought we were crazy. They did. Our friends were like, what are you doing? But in hindsight, see, this is where I really, just to make another talk about real estate investing, is that no matter what the market is, you can almost always make money in real estate, even if you buy something at the wrong price, just because over time you're going to make your money back.
Right. Yeah.
But then, you started your entrepreneurial journey. So let's talk about, money making mamas, how that even came about.
Yeah.
Because I'd been investing, and then that was kind of a rebrand of what I've been doing, because then you came on board. But let's talk about your background and how you came to be a part of the money making mamas.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. So Nancy, if we haven't picked it up, Nancy is my mom. This is I always joke that we're money making mamas, and I'm a mama, and she's a nana now. Mama then nana, whatever. But anyways, so I'm married. I have 2 babies. I say babies, but one's about to be 3, which I cannot believe that, and then the other one's gonna be 2 here shortly. And so for me, I was working corporate. I had a pretty good manager position at a sales company. I did like the environment. I never thought I came from a marketing background that I graduated with from college, and so I never thought I'd be in the sales world. That's a whole beast. Applaud to those who have that natural instinct to do that. But anyways, so I was in the sales world, and before I was supposed to go back on my second maternity leave, it just clicked in my brain. I don't want to go back to work. I don't want my kids I want to be with them. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, I don't want them to be in daycare, like all this thing. I mean, granted, the cost, but that's a whole other topic, and them getting sick every other day. But yeah, for me, like, I just wanted to be home with them. Like, I already was recognizing how fast time was going. And so I went to Zach and I said, hey, I don't want to work anymore. And he's like, well, we built our life off 2 incomes, so figure it out. And so he didn't say that, but he was very supportive. But we did build our life off of 2 incomes, so we had to figure it out. And so being in the real estate world, always on the side, or I joke, in the garage, like, on the flips, painting cabinets and everything.
Hauling trash.
Yes.
Cutting bushes.
Ugh, I remember this one time, really quick, that we were peeling off wallpaper and there was that slug behind the... Anyways. So I went to Mom and I just said, hey, I need you to teach me some stuff. I need to make some investments. And it was probably one of the smartest moves that we did, because, I mean, I even went to you and I was like, hey, we don't have a lot of, like, side money. I don't want to be ripping off wallpapers with slugs behind them. Like, and it was cool because finding out there's different avenues on how to invest in real estate. But anyways, so then we did that, and then I had a couple mom friends who were, and very quickly we were able to, when you do the numbers, when you make the decision, I think what surprised me the most was when you make the decision to quit your job, you think you have to make up, so say you're making, like, let's just throw out a ballpark, like $70,000. You think you have to make up that number, but if you're sending your kids to daycare, and you really have to look at what you're bringing in and what that cost is, plus all the other things in life too, bills, groceries, things like that, but taxes, you have to look at all of that. So at the end of the day, you really only need to make up maybe like $10,000, $20,000, and when you split that up into the 12 months, that is very achievable, especially in real estate investing, or, different avenues you want to take. So anyways, when I realized that, of like, hey, I don't have to, because I'm going to take my kids out of daycare, I'm going to take a step into investing, I don't actually need all of this side money to invest. And so anyways, when I realized that was a smart decision, and then my friends were like, well, we want to do that too, teach us. And so that was kind of how Money Making Mamas was born. Having the real estate coaching, and I do a lot of social media stuff too, so when people need help with that, like teaching them that side, and now we're here.
I know, it's so funny because as I said, I've been investing since 2006, but I've been coaching people since 2018. because that's really when I got into different real estate investment strategies. And it was so funny. Yesterday, I got a text from one of my past students, and actually reaching out. And because once you you get a relationship with us and we're talking real estate investing, we don't go away. We're around, and you can always come back and ask questions. And so she actually had a rental property, and I used to have a property management company when I don't anymore, but she wanted to know who, she was trusting me to find her a good property manager. So it was really nice to hear from her and how she's doing and that kind of thing, because I helped her get her first investment property. And so, Kelsey, just kind of that story you just told, though, isn't it a little reminiscent, if that's the right word, of me quitting my job and saying, hey, let's take an opportunity here and let's move. I mean, it kind of takes the same kind of thought process where you're like looking at the future. In your case, and the other thing, I didn't mention this, but by us moving, I was also able to spend more time with you. I mean, you weren't in daycare anymore, but I was able to be that mom that could, take you to every practice and pick you up and be more involved. And so, and you're so right. Real estate investing, I think a couple myths that I always love to bust down is, one, you don't need a ton of money. You don't need 20% to, go buy a house. I mean, yes, you can, if you have 20% you want to put down, you can do that. And number two, you don't have to have perfect credit either. Now you gotta have some credit, and you gotta pay your bills, right? You're not gonna nobody's gonna lend you money, but yeah, I think that's the cool thing about Money Making Mamas, is that it's about mamas making money, and there's so many different ways you can do that in real estate investing. It's like we talk about coaching, but we just did a thing on pre-probate leads for realtors that kind of just came out of me doing, because I do a lot of presentations about how to score deals and that kind of thing. So, well, the moms that are listening, they're not all, they might not be interested in real estate investing. They might be more interested in, well, wow, how can I start a side hustle? Because I think that's what people are looking for. Something where they're always the boss. They're always in control. They don't have to worry about getting laid off or anything. So what do you think we can bring to those moms that are listening that might want to start a side hustle? In fact, in what you've learned.
Well, I think, so just to reel it back in, just to kind of talk about what this podcast is, because I know we jumped into it, and we've mentioned real estate investing, and that's our entrepreneur journeys, which we'll touch more on, but that's not the bulk of this podcast. The podcast is about just supporting moms, like if they want to make that leap, hoping that our words give them the confidence. Like, it was so scary that first time that I did not get a paycheck. and even, I know holidays hit so hard for a lot of families. Like, I think that I was always internal, and I just thought that was me and my family. But no, it's so many people. The holidays just hit hard because, one, this is me to a T, but I just purged my house. But then I want to get all my kids all the things. Oh, I see a dinosaur. Bear's gonna love that. Things like that. And so there is a love language out there. It's gift giving and receiving gifts and all that. But regardless, even if you are to have a budget, it's still, holidays are hard. And so it was definitely scary going into it. But also knowing that we're going to be it's going to be okay. There's different avenues we can take. This is just a season and it's temporary. And I hope that, moms and families that may be listening just know that this is all temporary. And if they need that encouragement, or, I don't know, we always talk about being resources. And I hope that, if someone is I want to start this leap, that maybe hearing this today, they do take that leap. Or if you ever want, to ask a question, feel free to reach out to us.
Exactly.
But that's what I hope.
We had multiple, many conversations before we, really launched Money Making Mamas. One, because it was kind of a new format for both of us, but also as mother-daughters working together. Yeah. And what those expectations are. And we still laugh because now we have to say, okay, this is work time, or it's mom and daughter time.
Also, too, for those, and we'll dive way more deeper into this, but I have to say, we are definitely typical mother-daughter relationship. We knocked heads. We still do. But it's been, a year almost working with each other.
I know.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It's so crazy.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
And I think, kudos to us that we've done a good job of, we've made some money along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good, even though the first time we got that email notification, oh, you made $50, but we did it together.
A dollar is a dollar.
A dollar, yeah, we could frame that. But that was kind of a really proud moment for us. And we still have to work at it,
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things one of my goals too for the podcast is that we talk about generational things.
Yeah.
Because how even today, things are different with social media, that the impact that has on young kids versus even from when I was raising you. The cost of everything is so much more over the last 20 years. I mean, I think, everyone is feeling the pinch. So yes, I think that being a resource, if people are out there thinking, well, I can't do this. Well, remember, we were sitting there saying the same thing. I just have 20 more years on someone. And Kelsey, really, you just started your entrepreneurial journey this past year.
Yeah.
And you've learned
a lot.
You've learned, yeah. I mean, it's not just about, like,
and it's a grind.
It is, but you know what? I think,
but it's rewarding.
Yeah, one of the things that we did is, we put together a business plan. So we have expectations, because I think no matter, and a business plan doesn't have to be 75 pages. I mean, it can be, one.
Right.
It can be a paragraph.
Yeah.
But if you have a side hustle that you're thinking about, or even an idea, you just have to start writing it down. I love that.
Yeah.
Just writing, because then it comes to fruition.
And let's talk about really quick.
Okay.
Social media and how and how hard it is to put yourself out there.
Oh.
Because there's so many, because even us doing this podcast, like it's nerve-wracking. Like, okay, even if we get five listeners, I'll be so happy. So thank you.
Well,
spread the word. But
yes, and I think too, it's hard to be. And I think through the podcast, I want us to be, conversational, genuine, and sometimes, we may not be perfect. We're not going to be perfect, right?
No, but what I was saying about the social media is just I know that there's like affiliate marketing out there, and I'm sure like moms that have looked up what's a side hustle and all that. And if that's the journey you want to take, like, just take the step and start putting yourself out there. Or if you do have a business, and like so one thing I love to do, we'll dive into all these topics later, but I love to embroider. And for a second I thought, well, okay, could I do like a, on the side of this in all my free time that I have?
That's why we did the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But like, how cool would it be to have a little side embroidery business, and just, putting your stuff out there, and just, starting that Instagram, and even if it's just for yourself. But I think you do have to put yourself out there now, especially there's so many people that recognize the benefits of entrepreneurship and benefits of taking the leap out of the corporate world. And there's nothing against that if you like, because I did enjoy the Monday through Friday, 9 to 8 to 5, whatever it is. I knew that was when I was working. When I got home, I didn't have to do anything to earn $1. So it is nice, like, to have that. But it is nice to have the entrepreneur side of, yes, you do have to grind a little bit after the kids go down. Yeah, Saturday morning you might have to do an Instagram post that you don't love, but think about taking that leap and how much further that can put you above everyone else. And so anyways, so yeah, just again, back to your question of what you hope this podcast. So if anybody is listening to this and that they want to take that leap, I highly encourage it. And I know it can be tough to put yourself out there, but we are a true testament of putting yourself out there, and we'll see what happens.
It's all good. It's all good.
Should we talk about, because we said we were going to maybe joke about this, but maybe this will also help people understand kind of where we're coming from. So we started Ignite the Wealth.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. It's about the messaging and getting the message right.
Yeah. We started Ignite the Wealth so I quit in December, January last year. So Ignite the Wealth started. We had it was like a umbrella and had all the things. And then we rebranded to Money Making Mamas over the summer, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been about 6 months and whatnot. And then we just decided to do this podcast in November. It's December. Should we talk about how we wanted to do this on a budget? Because I said we're going to have low expectations for it. And I don't want to spend a lot of money. So should we talk about the environment that we're sitting in right now?
Yes. And, kind of goes to that purging. And I have come to find that I am in my minimalist era.
Okay.
So we are actually recording in what used to be my dining room. Because when we said we were going to do the podcast, there's a lot that goes into a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this isn't going to be like the highest quality podcast. The YouTube video is probably going to be a little tinny. It's not our best side. We got lights. But we wanted to do it because, A, we thought we could have fun with it and get a message out there to other moms. So we painted a couple walls.
Well, that wasn't even the first step.
What was the first step?
Okay, Kate, first off, so I feel like every millennial will relate to this.
Okay.
So we have a dining room. It's not a dining room. It's our front room. Our kids play in it. It's got too many toys. We have a couch in there. Anyways, so we have a dining room. And you guys have a dining room. But you had like a China hutch thing. All your like dust coated. All your little knickknacks.
Let's just say we haven't had a dinner party where people sat. Because they were sitting on the patio, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't used our dining room in... I know at least before COVID. So I'm going to say 5 years.
Yeah.
So it became kind of the dumping ground for all the grandbaby toys.
Yep.
Our dining room and the kids, when they would come over, they would totally know to go get their toys out of our dining room. So I was like, okay, all right.
So came over. So when we looked up, because we knew we didn't want to spend a lot of money, the library. So for those of you that, if you ever do want to start a podcast, check your local library if you just do want to do a one person whatnot, but that wasn't necessarily the vibe that we wanted to bring
and
to
also the timing, because you had to reserve it and and I had to coordinate with
and it wasn't really what is the word like it wasn't conducive for two people, and eventually we want to bring more people on here.
And it was not very colorful.
Yeah, no, not colorful. Anyways, so, but if you do want to do a one-person podcast, check out your local library. They also, I did not know this, but they have almost like Airbnb podcast studios.
Yes, that you can rent.
So nice.
Very nice.
Maybe one day when we're, we're manifesting that.
And the lowest one that we found was around, I think $75 an hour.
Yeah.
So, you're talking about like setup. You're talking a minimum for one podcast.
You'd have to
3 hours.
You'd have to go in there and know exactly what you're doing. And let's be real, that was not going to happen with us.
And you'd also have to be all ready.
Yes.
With your hair and everything. So,
anyways, I came over here. Someone was not in their rollers. Anyways. So we didn't want to do that route. That was not for us. We're startup. And then, the other part of it too is we did want to put this out on YouTube if people wanted to watch it. And I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time editing. So if there's some parts that are a little, just know Kelsey didn't want to edit right now. So anyways, but yeah, I'm actually excited for this. I think it looks really good. I think it turned out, you painted, all kudos go to you and Pop for setting all of this up, and it looks really good. And I picked out the furniture, and I had the vision.
You had the vision.
You executed. Yeah. I had the vision.
And I just happened to have a lot of lights because I've,
you have your coaching programs.
Yeah, so we had the lights for all the Zoom calls that we've done and things like that. So yeah, I'm excited.
I am curious to hear how this is going to go, but so Zach is watching the kids, and then Brian, Grandpa, took the dogs over to my house.
Dogs, and they're both yappy.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited. So we'll report back next time how they did.
So.
I'm sure it's great.
So I'm excited. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed hearing part of our story today. Give us any comments, feedback. We'd love to hear what you want to hear on the Money Making Mamas podcast.
Okay, so I want to do Okay, so just to recap really quick. This podcast, yes, we'll talk about real estate every once in a while. It's not the main bulk of it. We want to bring on moms, and we want to talk just mom life and entrepreneurs and kind of generational stuff. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff coming ahead. We're going to talk about mother-daughter conflict, and oof, that'll be a doozy. We'll
probably talk about holiday when it gets closer to holidays, like how you spend your holidays, especially if you're, you have multiple generational families, and do you travel, and how do you split up your time, that kind of thing for the kids.
Yeah. And then the biggest part is, one of my other things that I came to you and I said, I love podcasts. I have a handful that I watch or listen to religiously. My one con as a mom who listens to podcasts is it takes me a good week to finish a 2-hour episode. So our goal for these podcasts are not to be long. We recognize that, our audience and our people that are listening are moms, and that, hopefully this time it fills your cup in that part 1 of nap time. So, you can listen to an hour of this while kids nap, but then you still can go do something else. So, hopefully, we'll try to keep it under an hour each episode. But what I do want to end on is a little fun icebreaker.
Okay.
Icebreaker, fun.
You're going to do the firing of it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you questions. And
okay.
So the first one is, what is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh my gosh. It's chocolate, but not just any chocolate. I've got to have so it depends on the type of year. Because around Christmas time, I love maraschino cherries, the chocolate covered ones, but not with the thin liquidy stuff. I like the marshmallow kind of stuff. Yum.
Yeah.
Those.
Yeah.
And Reese's cups.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite guilty pleasure treats are just probably chocolate brownies in general.
Oh yeah, chocolate cake.
I thought by chance, because guilty pleasures can be either like treats or whatever, but I thought they can also be pastimes.
Oh,
so in your pastime, what is your favorite guilty pleasure?
Oh my gosh, probably going to a spa. And I just I'm having a spa day, but I just discovered reflexology massages. Oh my gosh, if you have not had reflexology, that's where they massage your foot in a certain way and all your nerve endings. I had one, someone told me about it. I went a week or so ago, and it was the best massage. It was better than an overall body massage. It was awesome. So that's probably my new guilty pleasure. I like it.
But guilty pleasures are supposed to be like, I'll hide in a corner. I don't want anybody to know. So
I just say I'm going to the store. I'll be back in an hour. I don't.
Okay, mine is probably trash TV is not a very something you lead with a lot of people. It's like, oh, hey, I watch a lot of trash TV. That's a guilty pleasure.
Okay, I just what do you call it when you binge something? I just binge the
Netflix
shows. Okay, but I think that's a difference between an older mom,
was gonna ask
an older mom and a younger mom, because I don't, I've earned the pleasure of actually doing my guilty pleasures, and I don't really care if people know about them or approve of them or anything, so I don't have to hide.
That's fair.
My guilty pleasures.
But do you also think that guilty pleasures, by chance, I don't know.
I don't feel guilty about them. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, but do you think it could potentially be a generational thing, like the meaning of the word? Or have you always heard that growing up?
No, I've always heard guilty, but I think that the guilt comes in of being a mom. The guilt of doing other things for yourself, because moms are supposed to take care of everybody.
Yeah.
And so I think the guilt comes in. Of course, I was raised Catholic, so I have a lot of guilt. But I think the guilt comes in is because as moms, we feel like we have to be taking care of everybody, and if we're not doing a good job as a mom. So
that's true.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Which we'll dive into that too.
Okay.
Okay, this will be funny because obviously we're family, but your household is a lot different than my household in the sense of I have 2 babies running around. You're an empty nester. So
yes.
How would you one word to describe your family life?
Peaceful.
Okay, chaotic. I feel like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be hectic, but not really. But I was a working mom. I've been a single mom. I've been a single working mom. So I've been a blended mom, stepmom.
Yeah.
So I've had my days of hecticness. So I think in my era right now, it's very peaceful and serene and happy. I have a lot of happiness and joy in my life.
Well, because you get to just have the kids when they're happy.
The grandbabies.
And I get to have them.
Yeah. I mean,
when they decide not to.
Being a Nana is, it's so rewarding because Brian and I talk about this all the time. When you're a grandparent, you get to be, you have the time that you didn't when you were raising your own children. So it wasn't like you were neglected, but I mean, I had to balance, right? I had to balance work and the housework and all that. So with the grandchildren, you're able to be present in the moment with them right then. And I think that's the biggest reward of being a grandparent. In fact, you got the Instagram that I sent you about it. There's studies now that show spending time with your grandchildren actually prolongs the grandparents' life. So I'll be around for a long time because I like seeing those grandbabies.
So I have a question with that. That half of it just went out my brain. Okay, it'll come back to me in a second. Oh no, I was gonna ask. Okay, so obviously physical appearance, like Bear looks a lot like me.
Yes.
But outside of physical appearances, is there, even if it's like mannerisms or whatever it is there stuff that Bear and Toby both do that remind you of me as a child?
Yes. So
like, does it bring you back to that time?
It doesn't bring me back. It reminds me, but it makes me...
Does it make you be more present because you recognize? Yeah, yes. That's what I've heard a lot of.
Yeah, and so it's kind of funny because, you know, we'll talk more about mother-daughter conflict. And so Kelsey has like she was saying, I have a grandson that's almost 3, and he's more like you in the cuddle side, right? That he wants to be cuddled, and, you know, his personality is very easygoing. Yeah. But your daughter... who will be 2, she has your very willful side. So it's kind of interesting to see that these 2 little people, they each have now he has his, you know, his willfulness times 2, but if I just said, okay, well, Toby definitely demonstrates, she knows what she wants and what she doesn't want. And she's very verbal, both physically and verbally when she doesn't want something. She knows the word no. Yeah. And she don't. Does. Yeah. No. So.
And it's so funny, just really quick, kind of going on like kids. It's just so funny to me because, you know, obviously as parents, you like, okay, holiday time, you have traditions that you did as a kid that you kind of maybe put on your kids that you do with them, right? Like, or maybe there's, I don't know, like dogs. Like we have a dog because I had a dog when I was little, and so now that'll kind of maybe be passed on to my kids. Anyways, all this to say, I don't really try to like push a lot of things that I love on to the kids. I just think it's so funny. So Bear, my son, has this like love, like strong love for like animals and just like big animal, like elephants, dogs, rhinos, all the things. I had it, but I never was like, oh, Bear, like look at the elephants or like look at the bears, you know, because I like those. He just naturally picked that up, so I think it's funny. But then Toby, you know, so my husband Zach, he fishes a lot, things like that, and neither one of us have like pushed fishing or anything, but the girl is obsessed with fish. It's so funny. Like, it's so funny.
Well, funny story. So as we're, you know, purging the, you know, dining room now is podcast room, we're getting ready for the grandbabies we're creating a grandbaby guest room, right?
Oh, yeah.
So part of that is purging some of Kelsey's old stuff, right? And I found last night, you know, talking about the animals and everything, that you had done, I think in like 2nd or 3rd grade, this whole book on African elephants.
Oh my gosh, that's giraffes. So crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this, you know, because it would be something that Bear would do.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting to look back on your schoolwork to see the kinds of things that you know, yes, we kept a lot of that stuff. Now you'll have to go through the recycle bin because I'm not keeping all of it, But yes, it is interesting to see the traits from generation to generation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. All right, cool. Well, we're about at our 40-minute mark.
Okay.
So that's good. So we already said we're gonna aim for every Wednesday to have a new podcast out in the morning time. I'm not gonna give a specific time because we have no idea how that's gonna go, and I don't want to commit to that. But we're gonna shoot. So this episode will air January 1st, 2025, which is so weird. And then every Wednesday, and then we're really excited. So next episode we'll kind of dive. Again, we'll talk a little bit about just real estate will come up every once in a while because that is our business, Money Making Mamas. If you haven't heard of us before, we do coach others, and we help moms bring a financial contribution to their family without sacrificing that family time. And so we have
through real estate
investing. So if we are a small business, and if you could follow us on all the social medias, you can find us at Money Making Mamas?
Money_Making Mamas.
Yeah, and then obviously we appreciate you so much for just listening and
hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe. That would be awesome if you want to leave us a review. So next time we'll talk about just being a mom. We'll compare the generational stuff. We'll bring up some stuff, because I'm a new mom. I mean, I do still consider myself. I have 2 kids, but they're young. So I still consider myself a young mom.
I think we should talk about being a stepmom too.
We'll talk about just being moms.
Just moms and moms.
So next episode will just be us as moms.
Yes.
And then and then you'll be in the hot seat, I'll be in the hot seat, but just stay tuned. And again, we appreciate you so much for listening. And Mom, do you have any other last minute things?
No, I just want to say, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. And
and if you ever want to hear, we said we were going to do this.
Okay.
If there is ever a topic that you want us to talk about, or what the struggles of being moms or highlights of being moms or anything like that, if you just think that you want to hear about it, definitely shoot us a message.
Or being an entrepreneur too.
Being an entrepreneur, anything like that. So we love the feedback, and if you could, again, follow us on all the social medias and subscribe. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for listening.
All right, Kelsey, hey, talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
All right, bye.